What's up, Gearshead? This is Full Red, and I am joined tonight by my co-host Waldo, and then also with Guy Blaze and Joe Krashy. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good.
Great, man. Doing good.
All right, so last week, if you caught our episode, we talked about the competitive versus casual side, trying to avoid splitting up the community and what we want to see in the development of Gears. Tonight, we're going to be touching on another subject that's been tossed around for a while and was recently rehashed on Twitter. We're going to look at execution versus escalation. Where do we want to start with this one, guys?
You know, when it comes down to the two game types, they really are night and day. And escalation, I feel like is not too many people have played it yet, but I feel like it is like one of the saviors for Gears. When I got my hands on it for the very first time a while ago, I was just like, I had to actually give pats on the back, like, yo, you guys did a great job with this one at the time, because we needed something that was new, and we needed something, don't get me wrong, like you can copy the whole search and destroy type of game type and whatever and whatnot, but for Gears, it doesn't work as well as it would for a first person shooter. With it being so much cover base and weapon balancing and whatever and whatnot. But escalation, it works. It works for me.
Krashy, what do you think from what you've seen so far in the gameplay that's been around?
The cool thing about escalation for me is that I don't feel like we've had a game type that forced members of the team to kind of fight apart and allocate resources in that kind of a way. So I think it's going to bring an interesting dynamic to, like, how many people do you send over to take this hill because you're trying to work on a setup as opposed to just needing to get kills? And that's what we see a lot in execution, where you have people fighting for high side or fighting for mid bridge because it's the advantage position from a kill perspective, but not necessarily on the map. And not only that, there's going to be such a huge meta game that goes around this, and that has nothing to do with the fact that the hills are going to change and the fact that the weapon spawns are going to change. There's just going to
hmm
be so much based on just the maps and the hill placements that is going to form a metagame. Well, maybe on hell, I can't even think of the name of the map that was in the beta, but
Like
maybe on
Harbor
that
down.
map, yeah, maybe on Harbor, Hill A is like premier hill. You got to have A, and then you go for one of the others. And we're going to see so much of that unfold when Escalation comes out, as opposed to just such a lack of strategy, or I don't know. You kind of run out of strats after a while in
Yeah,
execution.
and I think you touch base on one good thing is, especially when it comes down to the weapons, is that a lot of that is going to be placed during the game. You're going to have to play based on what the enemy team or opposing team puts around the map. And it's going to be different things in different scenarios, and you're going to have to really kind of come up with those strategies on the fly and actually think and use your brain, and not just be too much skill driven.
Yeah, and so one thing I want to apologize for, I just assumed everyone knew who you two gentlemen are and why you're qualified to speak on such a subject. Blaze is a longtime Gears of War competitive turned caster, overall personality, and just good guy in the community. He has been around even longer than I have, which is something to be said at this point. Krashy, currently the manager slash coach for MBN, also has been around as a caster and analyst, so we spent a lot of time not only playing the game as competitors, but also thinking about it, trying to break it down, figuring out the best ways to beat each other and to enable for our team's success. One thing that I definitely think is interesting is the mental aspect to it. We've seen how from Gears 3, once King of the Hill was finally phased out, and I just want to say kind of post Gears 2, because Gears 2 strats came out of nowhere sometimes. Like Dallas '09, perfect example. ZYN showed up and they had a strat for everything. You were going to run something? No, you weren't going to run that because they were just going to beat you. And they
Yep.
knew what you're going to do. It was going to happen. But after that point in time, Gears 3 kind of came down. Like, here are the 4 or 5 you can maybe run with some twist. UE, kind of the same thing. So then it just came down to, well, like, who executes on those better? Who is not only composed, but who is winning those gunfights? So all of a sudden is the players who are the best and are the most skilled. So I'm really interested to see if that strategic layer is going to be in there. I know that's something you were really passionate about discussing as well, Waldo.
Yeah, it's just I think the big issue why it came back up is along with like the strategic diversity of what escalation is and the ability to control the map and knowing when we should pick fights, when we shouldn't trade, how we give up map control, how you objectify which lanes are priority. It's the big issue behind this and why this comes up is we have a lot of, if anyone's not watched Gears of War ever, we have a lot of distrust issues with developers. Like, it's the biggest thing that we have. We've been screwed so many times. It's hard for us to just be like, this is going to be it. This is the winner. We've been through, 5 games now, and we're finally, like, esports is finally on the forefront of it. So it's kind of, okay, we got this new mode. It's new. It's scary. Let's start asking questions. Let's be really paranoid. Let's make sure our bases are covered because the game could die again. We haven't even reached the launch. We're 29 days out, and we're having this argument over, we need more one game type. Escalation's not enough. What can we use? And it's this default. We've used execution for the longest time. Well, the main flaw in execution is there's nothing to do aside from kill each other. There's nothing to draw fights. There's nothing. Power weapons are super limited. If you look at Mansion, the only reason there's a fight on Mansion is because there's a boom shot. That's it. Yep. No one would fight on that map if there are no power weapons. And that's how you know the map is flawed. Because there's no weapons to fight for. So what is the point? If you could... Raven Down was my favorite example in Gears 1. You would fight on that map because it was a balanced map. There's areas where you can push. There's angles of opportunity. You were trying to work out crosses and things with that. But there's nothing...
What Raven Down did you play?
I played Warzone.
That lasted about 15 rounds on average.
I played a ton of it on it, but I mean, I played Warzone over execution, so for me, I was super aggressive, regardless.
Just get the person down because they're dead.
Yeah,
and even like to kind of comment on a little bit of that stalemate action that you were saying, like if you think about it, like when Gears first started off, it wasn't as bad with the stalemates because this year in UE, it's been some crazy shit with stalemates, like Fuel Depot. People ain't leaving out a spawn. Every map, Gridlock.
They're doing it as a strat.
And it's part of their setup. And this is the part that pissed me off throughout the Pro League. And I was talking shit about teams on stream in my own way, saying that, you know, as a professional team, when you go over strats, you say, hey, these guys are doing a 3-1. How can we counter this if we know that they're going to camp? And they'd be like, either they don't work on the shit in practice and go over it, or they just be like, nah, we just gonna sit back and wait for boom shots to come up, or wait for new power weapons to come up, and at that point we'll wing it. But then Sniper is so OP where you don't want to do nothing. Gears 1, in actuality, wasn't that bad because of snipe downs. Snipe downs was not that bad because you will constantly open up plays and change the numbers when you got downs, and people made plays on that, so you didn't see stalemates happen as often. And when they took it out in UE because of King of the Hill, the shit that we don't even fucking play, you know, the game, of course, got campier since everybody can get headshots now. Gears 2 was just so strategic, and like you said, Sundown, like throughout the whole year of the season, we saw new strats from the beginning to the end. And as like I said, as time goes on, like UE, it's only like 3 strats a map that you're gonna see that's viable. Gears 2 with the smokes and everything and the stuns and the way the maps were set out, you was constantly able to see teams get creative, and that was a good thing. Gears 3, Ghost Cam actually made people come up with strats a little bit, even though Ghost Cam sucked and it was horrible for competitive play. Ghost Cam also slowed down the game, but it didn't make it too much of a stalemate. Because people knew exactly what people were doing, exactly what weapons they had, so they was able to even take a little bit more opportunities. But this game right here, shit, it's still central. And now moving forward, it's going to be good for tournament organizers and even the viewership to just know when the game's going to end, how is it coming close to end, what's the average time that a game should last. It's not too many unpredictable elements in there. And a viewership experience, you see that clock, they got to get 210, and things are coming up clutch, and the game's coming close. Like, it just makes it that much more exciting, So.
Right. So, and speaking for all 4 of us who have casted Gears of War at some tournament or at some form of level, I'm sure we've all been in a match that has dragged, a single map that has dragged 45, an hour and a half, especially now with this amount of money on the line. Like, objective to push for, I don't see a viable way for execution to really come to the forefront just because
Yeah.
there is no incentive for action to be creative, as Crashy had said originally. So now the real question is, will Gears of War be able to survive and thrive in a one game type scenario? The prime example I look to would be Counter Strike. But the kind of devil's advocate point I want to bring up about that is one of the best part about Gears are those clutch moments, those 1v2s, those, oh, we got to pick, we were able to then push our advantage and win. Without that sort of one life tension, is Escalation going to be able to deliver enough of those moments to bring Gears up to that level, or to at least start the climb? What do you guys think?
I think yes, and I think the reason why is because they changed it so that as the game extends out past the first 6 rounds, your respawn timers get longer, so those clutch moments become more critical and your lives start mattering more. Now, I'm on the side where I don't like 10-second respawn timers. I think you should probably make it 15 and go up from there, just so that the early rounds, I believe in importance in all the rounds. You can be a little more reckless early on, go and pick fights that you don't have to. It's not as punishing, but later on, when you've got 20-second respawn timers, you screw up an objective push, you overextend, you get caught out, it's really going to cost you. And the other thing that I think that would help this, as I said on Twitter the other day, is they have this global, when you 3-cap, that it, as soon as you enter the third hill, it starts your global cap, and it's 5 seconds. And there were a lot of times in the showcase where I saw it, I was like, if they extend that out where they have to cap and then hold the hill for 5 seconds for the round to be over, that adds so much more drama into the fights that you're going to be having, because that guy could be running up to the hill, they're building anticipation, he's going to get it, he's going to get the break, and then all of a sudden you've got more gameplay to go on. So I think if we extend it out just that little part, there's your drama that you're looking for, there's your excitement, there's the stuff that the casters can get behind, because it's not going to be all the time, but it'll be every once in a while someone gets, it's just making the rotation, they sprint through, they get out of spawn, they make their jailbreak, they get to the hill, they slay 2 guys, and the round keeps going, and maybe they even swing momentum and come back on that round. It's pretty good option. I think that would be something to improve there. I think the element of just the fights and the different power weapons that we can have allows for a lot more commentary during the matches. The one good thing about slow execution rounds is you can analyze for 20 minutes because nothing's happening. But but now we have to fit that in between rounds and talking about what are they going to do next, what we predict is going to happen, and that also requires us to do a little bit more research on the back end so that we're prepped going into that, so we know what teams are going to run in that situation.
Yeah, and you know, and I agree with you as well that you know on the stance that I think escalation will be all that we need, and in order to thrive, and you think of the major esports titles out there, League, Counter Strike, Dota, you know, it's all one game type. You know, they don't have multiple, but devil's advocate, like you know, coming from that console gaming generation back in the day when Halo had like 4 different game types, they mixed it in a 5 game cycle, and same thing with Call of Duty. And
Yep.
me personally, I
Call
do
of Duty
like
World
that.
Champs.
Yeah, Call of Duty World. Yo, me personally, I do like that having a mix of King of the Hill and all the King of the Hill, Capture the Flag, and all these other game types because you have to practice for them. It really it really shows like the best team. And to me, it's action packed if you can come up with that many good game types. I love it. But I think escalation on its own will be just as successful as having that many game types as well. And to actually find good, successful game types for Gears, um,
Been pulling
you
teeth.
know, it's a hard one because you know
To say the least.
the one thing is about the search and destroy. I think they've done good on this game because I think this game has a lot. It's a lot of fun in it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of replay value, and they have cool, creative, unique game types for casual players. But when it comes down to that competitive aspect, if we was to even do search and destroy in Gal, right? I think Affinity said it on Twitter. Somebody said it. The defensive team will be too OP. You know what I'm saying? On defending, I think they said on defending certain points, whatever and whatnot.
They never have to peek. You never have to
You're
move.
third person, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
just based off the game being third person alone. That's one thing that really makes it difficult. Of being able to push and make those plants. But
not to
you know,
mention search and destroy just doesn't work because like what do you just not have weapons on the map? I mean like who gets what weapons just
gets the
because
boom
it's
stuff.
search? Like yeah, like oh well, we're gonna play
Pistols
I'm
and
gonna use this
SMGs,
example.
boys, and one shotgun.
Offense gets 2 frags and a torque.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Like,
But knowing the coalition I'm pretty sure somebody there did try, right? I'm
yeah.
pretty sure they heard it. They saw the big write ups from over the years, and they set an office and they tried and they probably test run some shit, and it was probably like, nah, this ain't gonna work, right? And I'm not even gonna and I even say that I forgot who I told, but I told somebody, I said, hey, just throw it in the game to shut that community up. You know what I'm saying? The same group of people that till they die, they're gonna be like, you know what? If Gears had a search and destroy game type, whoo, it would have been good, right? Just throw it in there because we got assassination. We got.
That's why I want to see True capture the flag. Just throw it in.
Dude,
I'm one of those people.
Like,
I'm one of those people. Throw it in.
Like,
Damn it, Cam.
Next time I'm able to catch one of them off guard, I'm gonna let them know. Be like, hey, no, check this out. Whoever, just throw these 2 game types in so you can shut us up, okay? We don't gotta use them, all right? And at this point, I don't even care if people are split between 9 different playlists. I don't give a damn no more about that, okay? Because people gonna gravitate where they want to go anyway. All right, just fucking please it all, and we're gonna pray anyway that a lot of people continuously play this game, and this game has a lot of replay value. Because the next time this shit dies, who knows what's happening? You know what I'm saying?
We can't have
it can't
another
die
one.
again.
No,
it ain't no dying again. So we're not gonna even make plans that the game of trying to compact people on like 5 different playlists. You know what I'm saying? Just throw CTF in there, throw search and destroy, and just nobody would never hear people say shit about it again. You know?
Yep, especially if escalation ends up being as successful as we all feel it will be. Like we've seen, even just the very bare bones, the showcase of it. We've seen the information. The concept of it has us all interested. I mean, look at the number of people who are now producing Gears of War content. Look at the number of people who are talking about playing, who are coming back and playing. Joe, what are your thoughts on escalation and where this has been taking people?
I think kind of going back to the idea of whether or not we should toy around with having multiple game types or having escalation kind of be the end all be all. With that, I think honestly Gears would be a great game to have multiple game types if it wasn't for escalation. Like they put so much work and thought into building escalation for esports that I feel like it is exactly what we needed if we didn't want to do multiple game types. Because thinking back just to Gears 3, like watching execution and then like how the rounds would swap between, or the maps would swap between going from execution to King of the Hill, for me that was really, really fun. I really liked that time of watching the dominant teams on King of the Hill Dry Dock. Like that was just it was just a good time. I really, really enjoyed seeing those teams who were being able to master that, totally new aspect for the competitive scene. But that's what I think escalation is going to take care of for us, because it's got so many different aspects to it. I mean, like I said, hill swaps, respawn times. You got to know there's going to be, and I don't know what the parameters are on what kind of weapons you can place on the map, but you got to know there's going to be some cheeky team that goes in and puts like smoke grenades on all, on their points and just wants to brawl it out. You know what I mean?
So from being since I've only one in here actually who's touched escalation, be able to like kind of dig deep into it. And you can, place those heavy weapons and place whatever weapons on the map and take some things off.
Mortar strat.
Right?
You can run with mortars now. Oh God!
You can roadie run, okay? But I think you will have those people that do it. But I think by the time somebody come up with some cheeky ass shit like that, like between team fight and rotating around the map, like they got to be perfect off the jump,
Yeah.
Or people, and if they get too crazy with it, they just gonna block it the next round and remove it. You know what I'm saying? So they just gonna take it off.
We're gonna run
But what I was gonna say is that one thing about escalation is that it's so long. It's 13 rounds. Okay, when we did it at PAX and we did that reveal, right? We played one match, and by the luck of God, fucking, it went down to 13 rounds. Right? It went down to the wire. All right, so that was classic long competitive match of escalation, and it averages between like that 25-45 minute mark, right? So when you come to these tournaments, shit, if you think we're gonna do best of 13 and do some best of 5, y'all out your mind. All right.
No, so that's where it goes back to the CS:GO. Like you even see major CS:GO tournaments. You play one map. That could be
Yep.
your like you could play one map and you could go home and like that could be it, or one map down to losers, another map you're gone. It's like yeah, maybe max. I can't remember the last time I watched a Counter Strike Best of 5.
There hasn't
You
been
know,
one in
yeah.
years.
Right?
They don't
Like-
And
do
I
it
think the
anymore.
only thing that something that's on has been best of 5 is League. When League does their worlds, they do a best of 5, 100%.
Oh well, even for the
Outside
NA finals, but this is 5 hours, yo. So Saturday, this is Saturday. This was like a month ago. I think it was for the quarterfinals or the semifinals. LCK had their semifinals, and I woke up and I watched it, and it went 5 games. I slept for 2 hours, and then EU had their semifinals, and I woke up and I watched it, and it went 5 games, and then immediately NA's was on, and it went 5 games. I literally went the entire day watching 3 series of League of Legends,
That's
3-2 all the way through.
And that's fucking insane. And you know the thing, one of the
Man.
things is about is that they have an audience that will sit there and watch that shit
Yep.
as well. And you know what I'm saying? And that's just money throughout. That's 24 hours worth of income that's coming in the whole time. And they've created something that they can do that with. Gears, like I feel like me personally, like if the games are that long, we don't go past best of 3s.
Nope.
Open bracket tournaments, online tournaments are best of 1s until
Yep.
you get to like that champ bracket, that final area, in which I feel like you should go to best of 3s at that point. Because if not, it's just so long. You know what I'm saying? It's just everything is so long, and you know, we gotta have all these maps. We gotta figure out what maps is good or what's not. Do we do like Overwatch here and adopt a ban and pick process? You know, like everybody do
needs
Counter
that
Strike.
now.
Which
I think at that point, at this point of the evolution of esports, it just comes down to more strategy creates more to talk about, and it creates a bigger gap in skill. And so having a ban, it would be great. It'd be great for casters, for analysts. Like, oh man, Optic really doesn't like Damn. You know, they're gonna be looking to ban that one right out of the jump. So like, you have to think about the amount of value that just adding something simple like that, that's totally out of game, can bring. Not to mention, aren't we going to have like some ridiculous amount of maps in this game?
34 something after.
Oh my
Oh, we
So,
didn't
and I-
touch on that. Like,
Yeah,
and I
like-
think they've announced like, and I want to say I think they've announced like 10, right? Now let's say, and we've heard them say on stream before that, hey, we want every map to be a competitive map, right? Okay,
Mhm.
cool. And like I'm pretty sure we're gonna see what Overwatch does because they're gonna hit this before we do actually, all right? Because Overwatch is adding a map in like every so often, right? And it's just adding to their ban and pick process. It's just teams are just going down until they get their final 3 or no, their final 5 maps or whatever and whatnot. With Gears, one thing about us is that we won't be practicing all those damn maps. I don't know how Counter Strike does it or Overwatch, but we won't practice all 12 of those maps. And even though you can ban the maps that you've never practiced on at all, but that day that one map slips through, all right, that you ain't played, then it's like, oh shit, hold up.
So the big thing that they do in other esports, and we are so ass backwards with this, and it makes no sense. We're the only scene that still runs full cycles.
Yep.
You literally just pick and ban what you want to do. You run a pick and ban, you run it like a best of 5, and you win the 3 maps, you're done with the set, you move on with your scrim cycle. Gears,
Really?
they don't do, League doesn't deal with this. They do best of 5s in a scrim. If you win your 3, you're out. And that's it.
Or they just have a set block of time they play.
Yeah.
Or they'll
gonna
be
say,
like,
I feel
oh,
like
you
that's
have so yeah. So
Yeah.
from somebody who has managed some semi-pro teams / been around that scene, mostly they will block out. It's like, oh, we have a 2 to 4 to 6 hour scrim block against this team or against a couple of teams, and you just play as many games as you can. But though the one thing apparently the Koreans in a 2-hour scrim block will get in like anywhere between 4 to 6 games depending on length, whereas American teams will get in 2 to 3 because they're just like cranking them out like that. I think that's a topic for another time. How ass backwards Gears of War scrim practices, the entire practice culture around Gears of War is just so poorly developed in comparison to all the other esports that it's actually appalling. And this is on Twitter all the time. I know people still using Skype in the party chat to communicate with one of the pro teams over a solid delay in the amount of time. I don't know how many people know this, but Xbox Live Party Chat and Skype both have a delay on them when you're communicating. So if you're ever supporting your teammate and they don't hear you for a second and don't react, that's why. But Yeah, any other thoughts that we want to touch on with escalation versus execution, multiple game types, metagame discussions, things we're looking for? What do you guys got? Anything you want to bring up?
Sayonara execution. I ain't gonna miss you.
No?
You know, that's the simple. Yeah, simple fact is I ain't gonna miss you. You know, at one point I tried to fight for you. You know, but now it's you know, I don't. I'm not even gonna. I was thinking of how can I play devil's advocate of keeping that shit around a little bit longer, but like, nah. Like I'm not even gonna add no wood to that fire. You know, that little flicker that's still out there. You know, it's gonna be gone. So
Yui really killed it, like
yeah,
just on a whole front, like everything about how Yui's weapons work. They're too powerful. Like the balancing was bad, and then people don't have that mindset of where I'm just gonna go and kill you and win. I'm just gonna
yeah.
play it safe. I'm gonna slow play. We're gonna let the rounds draw. We don't have to do anything, and that
We'll
really
get good side next time. We'll get good side next time. It's
Yeah.
okay.
They don't. They don't know how to actually. Like you just said, you were talking about next time. They just don't know how to actually practice, work on what they're not good at. You know, counter things. You know, they don't go that in depth. They think that their individual skill, no matter what, and just like 10% of communication will have them come out on top. And the sad part is that it's put
It
teams on
worked.
top.
Yep.
It's worked. You know, based off how this game is and how it is online, it's worked. So the fact is that we're about to go to a game that's going to require 24, just communication all around throughout the whole thing. That's going to take some actual skill. That's going to work. All right, and it's going to require you to have a brain.
If I'm
You know,
totally honest, I really think maybe outside of like Optic being just one of the strongest teams, the top like second to eighth position is just up for grabs.
change. Yep, I agree with you.
Anyone's game. I mean, I
Everything's
don't
gonna
think
change, and
anybody
I hold
has
that
a lock on.
strongly. I don't. Yeah, I won't even call it a top four. I agree with you. Top two. Top two.
It's such a wild west, and I've been saying this too. It's gonna be wild west after these first couple events because we have no idea what it's gonna look like. We have no idea about pick and
Yeah.
ban. We have no idea about team rosters. Teams are gonna be switching up. It's gonna happen, and I'm concerned about another conversation as well is like player welfare contracts. Half of our
Oh God, get the Gears of War scene in contract.
It's
our
we
whole
just
scene.
we're
is
so
First of all, we
big.
already saw whatever Kingsman get
Yeah.
Bronco, whatever that situation is, dropping Legend and picking up Sealand and voiding their contract. So, I'd
Dead
like
ass, like,
the game isn't even out yet.
I
And
wouldn't
we're
even
already
have
friends.
joint teams. Like I was telling people, like people hit me up, like, "Yo, I'm trying to find a team." This and that. I'm like, "Yo, chill. Go out and have a good time. Go have some drinks and some shit." Okay. The
Relax.
the
It's
grind
too
ain't even
soon.
started right now because you don't know who's gonna be good. Your whole squad can suck. All right, when this game drops,
You can
all right?
log in and find out your entire team has feet for hands.
Exactly.
They don't know what's
right?
going on.
Yo,
the strong
boys.
team leaders are going to come out in Gears 4. The people that can in the middle of the round look at their view and see what hills are where and see what positions are where and start shot calling just
Yep.
like
Pay
right off
attention
the
to the
jump.
kill feed,
They just
everything.
instantly
Like,
start calling it like, no, you and Lava go this way. Like we got to take over B right now. The boom shot's going to be spawning because we put it over here. Like we wanna
all
hold
5 of us go. We
Yeah.
can all cap
we wanna-
now
we
if
wanna
we
hold
go.
B because we know in a minute and a half the boom shot's spawning behind us because we put it there. So that's why we want to hold B and A. Like this is a totally different
reminds me
game.
of those
It's
fucking
Gears, but it's
City Hill
totally
days, man.
different.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see where intelligence will get you and how the game ends up developing. And a big aspect of it is, I mean, we've seen teams have issues with 4 people on it. You're adding a 5th man in there, in the already volatile Gears of War community. Like, how many of these rosters can handle having a steady 5? Like, Gears can barely manage to keep 4 people together for multiple events. Like,
Mhm.
it'll be real interesting
yo.
to see how those dynamics end up affecting the gameplay.
Trying to get
There's
everybody
a
on at
lot
the
of
same time
evolution
to
that's
scrim
going to
too.
happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is where
But the Gears esports scene does just have, in general, with a lot of aspects. I mean, Xbox Live Party Chat and Skype being
just
a small
behind.
example.
Yep.
We have a lot of evolution. The scrimming, isn't there. People don't know how to scrim and practice properly. The communication people have isn't there. I mean, proper coaching, by and large, is not even there. You know what I mean? It's going to come into play.
Name 5 people that can coach competently that aren't in this room.
I was about
Outside
to say,
Ashes.
Ashes and Ryan.
I wouldn't give
Okay.
it to Ashes, to be honest with you. I ain't gonna hold you up on that one.
I mean, they definitely give the managerial aspect to the team,
I
but
think
question is how much level our coach is going to be allowed to be involved. Like, is it going to be a league thing where you're only there at the start and you're able to talk with them, or are they going to be the traditional Gears, like plugged in, you're in there
Adding a sixth member to the
tell you-
game, that's a lot. I mean,
six
I'm gonna tell
people
you,
if you're not on Overwatch, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
The
I
only
mean-
two coaches that I've seen all season 1 who even did anything worth a damn was Sealand and Carson's. Carson's and Sealands. I ain't gonna hold you guys up. Like, I seen like what both of them did for their teams and the studying and like the actual, and they was players beforehand. You know,
Yep.
they were actually more hardcore players beforehand, so they was able to do that extra detailed information. I'm not saying that Ryan Ashley wasn't a player, but you know they didn't compete at that high level. You know what I'm saying? For not too much time, but those two, they actually was able to put a lot of depth in and actually help their teams out a lot from what I saw. Took that extra mile. So
It's gonna be rough. It's so rough right now, and that's why I'm saying it's Wild West as soon as it starts, because a lot of orgs are picking up teams, and a lot of these teams are raw, and everyone's talking about this thing of salaries, right? We need to be paid to play, and all this stuff. Which, yes, it makes sense, but at the same time,
y'all ain't did nothing.
yeah, I mean we haven't done anything to earn the salaries and get those people
Twitter fingers, man.
The
Twitter
word
fingers.
Get a
investment
team house.
is true
No,
in this.
I think they done getting orgs right now. Like maybe they, only a few teams should go for orgs where they're like, you know what, we got enough talent, we got enough accolades from Gal UE where we can actually get a good, decent org. You know what I'm saying? Going into this game, but some others should be like, hold up, they need to play what fucking Envious did. Going into UE, going into that first event, they didn't go in there with no org. They was like, we about to go in here, win
Just
this
beat
event.
everyone, yeah.
We're gonna go in here, beat everybody, win the event. Then we're gonna go get Envy, and that's as soon as the event was over. Boom, Team Envy has picked up Friend, Kenny.
It's a weird thing to talk about with Gears esports, but I'm telling you, supply and demand is a real thing here.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna flip flop on us. The orgs are gonna want to flow in, and if you're locked into these contracts with some of these orgs out here,
they're gonna be
I don't
selling
know.
Orgs.
So you be smart, Mr. NBA manager. Okay, I got.
No, man,
Alright.
I'm doing my part.
That's the rough thing, is all these orgs come in and pick up teams in hopes that the team shows up so they can
Investment.
sell
Yeah,
sell their contracts and make money off of it, and then the other org can worry about the back end. And player welfare, huge thing that's got to be covered at some point in Gears. These players have no idea. They don't know that they're being used as a utility, as an asset. They're just there to play the game. They're using you to promote their business model.
They just want some jerseys.
Yeah, I just want jerseys. I want jerseys. I want to be
jerseys,
able to
they
tell
know
my
what they
friends
have.
I got there, and I'm a professional gamer, and I compete in tournaments. Like, that's what, the best thing. Like, I think Clarky nails it with his tweets regarding video game ownership, the Gears community. One thing he tweeted today is like, Smite teams, you need to worry less about being sponsored and more about branding yourselves and letting orgs take part of your pay.
It's all about, self-marketing is huge in the esports space in general, and right now even some of the best, most accoladed veteran players have none.
That's
a
true.
great example, and I hate to do this to my guy right now, but Wildy, man, Wildy, he's just not branded. People know the name, they know the history, but he has no real self-brand, and that's part of my role.
Wildy has actually everything what it takes to fucking become like the next big streamer. You know what I'm saying? Just based off personal skill and whatever and whatnot, and just who he is. Like that last part about the branding is that even in COD, okay, regardless of Nick brought this point up to me, and it's a great point. You see all these players who have fucking 400K followers, 700K followers, whatever, right? They hit that go live button. They can't even get 50 people in they fucking stream. Okay, they send out a tweet. They can't even get fucking 10 likes on that bitch. All right, because of how diluted they are and how fake they following is. It can honestly be real followers, but they have no actual type of personal connection.
No hold with them.
No hold with them. It's all temporary, And those numbers ain't worth it if it ain't making you no fucking money. Fucking quality. I mean, sorry, not quantity, but quality. Okay, quality of your followers.
Quality before quantity, then you'll get a quality quantity. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that about wraps us up, gentlemen. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say before we head out?
No,
I
I'm
think
get it.
I think this would probably lead into a much longer tear, so I'm just going to bring it up in terms of being able to touch on it. I think escalation is in the hot seat to be everything that we need it to be, but a part of that, and this, like I said, another discussion for another time, is going to be how we view it and how the observer works. And I know me and Waldo definitely have our thoughts on that. The viewing experience for a game like this, for a game type like this specifically, that's so fast and so all over the place, split across the map, it's got to be viewed properly. You got to know what's going on as a viewer. You can't sit there thinking like, "Oh wow, he just got a double kill," but what's the bigger picture? How do you view it? How do you take in that information? The viewers need that.
What is
So
the context of that double kill? What does that double kill mean? And I've been very vocal about that exact point on Twitter. My biggest complaint with Overwatch and what turned me off to the game, it is the viewer experience is extremely poor. And as somebody who really
Chaotic.
enjoys watching and knowing what's going on and analyzing a game as a vehicle for me to get better, that's what turned me off from wanting to continue to play it. So I think Gears making sure that is a positive on the viewing experience when that's what sells Gears, man. That's what that's what sold MLG on the community.
Yeah.
That's what sold Coalition. It's how exciting
so much more.
it is.
You learn so much more from watching Siegel's stream than from watching an entire linked day of tournaments.
That's true.
I mean, Siegel, dude, that guy is, first of all, he's a monster. Sorry, shout out to Siegel and following me on Twitter. I feel good for that. So, but seriously, you learn so much more just from that perspective. But that's, again, that goes with Gears. You gotta know what's going on, and that's going to be a big part of it. So if we do need changes, I'm glad we have the support we need, because that should come with with that dev support. So
and since you opened the can of worms just briefly, because I've commentated Overwatch and I've commentated Gears, and I've had to kind of work the spectator system on both of them. Being like I casted and did the escalation overview, spectating when we did it on live stream there, was so fucking hard. Okay,
Yep.
it was like, because I had so many more components to work with. I had a chat pad. I had buttons on my chat pad doing shit. Okay, and I'm up here playing Claw as I'm spectating. Okay, I couldn't casually play. I had to play Claw when I was
Oh
spectating.
my god.
And
you were using a controller?
Yeah.
I was using a controller with a
Okay,
chat.
so the mouse and keyboard, first of all,
Mouse and
is
keyboard
keys.
is always the
it's gonna
best.
help a
Oh,
lot.
A lot of
Yeah,
us
so
are
yeah,
going
On
to
top of
transition to that.
have we even talked about the fact that like other games use a dedicated observer, someone who literally sits in a room?
Gears is gonna have
We're
them.
gonna get one. We're gonna
We
get
got
one.
it.
It's already
Because
confirmed.
I'm not
It
spectating.
already
Okay,
is.
good.
I'm not
Perfect.
spectating no more. than
I'm not expecting.
yeah, but
No.
it's like, oh,
It's
it-
it's
gotta
a rough
happen.
time. It's just the
Yeah.
way that the mode works. It's too much on the casters, and I've said this before. There's too much going on for us to cast and control the camera and then try to guide what's
Yeah,
going on
exactly.
and then break down the gameplay in 30 seconds. There's just too much.
Side note, that third person view that they have working is trash. It's gotta go. I can't take it. It's
Yo,
like
hold up, did
you're
you see the
watching them
brothers-
third person, but it's like third person on top of that third person, and they walk weird, and I can't take
Did
it.
you see
It
the-
it's like
literally
the
messes
slide
me up.
camera almost. Yeah.
It's so weird.
I don't know. They did it on an arms race, and I actually kind of liked it on an arms race because I knew those guys wasn't very skillful, so I didn't mind seeing them in
Yeah.
first person. So from that angle, I had a fun time in the audience watching.
Well,
the
you know
arms
what
race.
pissed me off with Arms Race was like they had the Marxa, and that's the first time we've seen the Marxa for Gears 4. It was
Oh.
basically a reveal.
There was no
And I
hype.
no, not even that. I wanted to see what it looked like when he would shoot it, and they were stuck in that third person. And I,
I
was
got
like,
fucking
"Please,
stuck
just
playing 20 rounds of
please."
horror with the marks, and I was like, oh my god.
I
was-
but I
it was
never
bad
got
for-
to see what it looked like when you hold L trigger. Like I never got to see that because we were stuck in that third person.
person,
Oh
yeah.
my god! I was just
And
like,
to
please
Waldo-
show me the weapon.
Waldo, what you said, fucking goddamn Krashy for opening this can of worms. But yo, like, okay, so like, it's not like a lot of people know this, but like, fucking, like, I would say MLG Columbus was probably the hardest event for me to cast. Okay, it took so much of my brain power to really cast that event because the equipment that I ended up having to use was I had to look at 8 screens, right, and I had an iPad switching between the screens, right. Which initially I was like, no, this is let me get this.
You're like, yeah, I'll figure this out. This will be
I said, nah,
dope,
let me
right?
get this.
Yeah.
Dope. So then I'm up here and I'm in the seat and I'm just like, okay, trying to find the right shot. All right. The next thing you know, I hear my pause for me to come in and commentate, and I'm like talking like, yeah, whatever. So like my brain was literally split Okay, so if you were like looking at the TV, the guy that was on like the right side looking forward was the spectator, and the guy on the left was just right there, and he just had to kind of read off the screen what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So we actually had the roles reversed because the play-by-play should have been like not observing, all
Mhm.
right? Because I couldn't be my play-by-play self, and I'm just like, yeah, going this way, and I'm just like, all right, just roll with it, okay?
I'll make it work
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah, you shine. I'm gonna send you guys the feed over there, you know, fucking,
So
but
so the
it's
way
hard
that
as hell.
so the way that it should work with a dedicated observer is that the dedicated observer should be in the caster's ears, and he should be able to hear the casters, but they shouldn't be able to hear the dedicated observer. The dedicated observer should just be listening to the casters, and as soon as they say something, hotkey, boom, we're gonna jump cam across the map, grab that guy,
Yep.
because
Mhm.
that's what the dedicated observer's job is to do, is get the angles. It's a production job. You have to be
Yeah.
He's a
controlling the camera,
cameraman.
Yep.
He's
and
nothing
then
but a cameraman.
and then you jump in like, oh, boom, and then let them
So
drive.
I know for a fact, League has they have a camera on each play. Yeah, and they have two dedicated watchers, but they end up panning back afterward, and they're lined directly in, and there's a producer watching the entire time to tell the other person what to be looking at. Obviously, it gets to a point where
They
they
got like a 2
know
minute head
what.
start too.
Yeah, exactly. They have the head start, but they're fed right in. So the casters will occasionally say, like, "Oh, we missed that. Hopefully, the spectator will be able to pull that up." And then the person who's right behind it pans into that. So that's Waldo's point. Like, oh yeah, being in on the cast and knowing, especially in Gears, if you're just listening to the cast, they'll say like, "Oh, I want to hop on board with like X." Like, "Oh, okay." Or like, "Oh, I want to see the fight around Hill 2." It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna follow whoever's going towards that, and then as soon as they get there, I'm gonna pop out, and then we'll see the fight around Hill 2. Or like, oh, I want to see this power weapon. That
It is
is
a good
the
communication.
but again, that comes from the fact how you say you're sitting here looking at 8 screens on the iPad and like, yeah, this is really cool and all, but it goes to the fact Gears hasn't been on that stage before. We don't know that we need one person who's a dedicated observer who is cut into the caster's mic while the play-by-play guy is able to go and the caller is able to then
Yeah.
feed the observer the information he needs so they can keep the cast going. This is another aspect where Gears is just slowly behind, but hopefully with escalation and the learning experience that was Columbus, we're able to move the production up because we already know execution being gone is only a help in terms of the production value, with hopefully shorter or at least consistent match times, and then less time in between each games, and then more analysis to at least cover that downtime.
I think that's the biggest thing of why people need to understand escalation has to go is in escalation and match time.
Execution needs to go.
Escalation.
I want escalation to stay.
Escalation, but execution has to go because we're talking about match times. There's no consistency in execution. There's none.
You can't plan a tournament around it. You can't
No,
plan a
you
broadcast
can't.
around it.
Because we've had tournaments like Hype 4 that ran. Somehow we ended early. Don't know how the hell that happened. We got lucky with that.
First time in Gears history ever.
That's the first time that, well, since for like got COG Vengeance, so it was like a 3-year span where we've never ended an event on time, and we finally did.
On time.
Vengeance ended on time. We ended up like
We
9
did.
o'clock. Yeah, we ended up 9. We were just like, bam, we're out. But this is the point that everyone needs to be thinking about when they're making this argument. Execution can either be 5 minutes or it can be 2 hours.
2 hours,
Yeah, at the long end. It's either or, and that's not consistent. You can't plan a broadcast around that. You can't schedule people and have talent. They had it at MLG. It was one of the biggest things. The analyst desk went to go grab food, and then the match was over, and they had to pull them back before they could finish eating and take a break because it was over that fast. So it's the same thing. You have to. There has to be enough match time so that the production team and everybody around has enough time to maneuver and plan things out, set up schedules. They know what matches are coming up. This is why it was designed to be best or 13 rounds. They want it to be long enough so that you're in that same area that other esports are in, where you have 30 to 45 minutes where you can pull people out. People can be talking about things behind the scenes. They can doing prep work. They can be watching the games. They can grab food. It's not like, oh, we got to be back on. Oh, we got to you can switch out your talent. You can give people breaks. I know I've casted all the hype events, and for the last like 2 that we've done, and I think I casted 16 hours one day, and then I was on something like 8 hours the next day. that's not healthy for any of your talent that's on, because your brain's exhausted by the time you get to the finals.
And you never know when you're gonna be going. Never know when you actually like your bathroom break can actually be a bathroom break. Like, oh god, yeah, some of those have been absolutely nightmarish. All right, I think that is all for us, gentlemen. This is definitely us. That's for certain. Any closing statements, goodbyes, thank yous, things you want to shout out, people you want to shout out? Krashy, what do you got?
He did his already. That's how we got to this conversation.
Actual shout outs, no more Pandora's box. You can close the box, we'll put it away on the shelf.
Shout out to you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Shout outs to MBN. I know these boys are working hard, and I don't have an official word, but we will have a fifth. You guys know that for sure.
At some point, you will have a 50th being.
So that's pretty exciting. So again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Blaze, what do you got?
Just appreciate you guys having me here. I always love a good debate around gears, you know. So that's that. Hashtag Fire Squad.
Waldo, any closing thoughts?
I'm gonna create a buzzkill strat. That's what I'm gonna do, just so that weapon gets used. Or just like lasers of razor blades. Like, I hate that weapon in its conception, but I'm gonna design one just so that it can.
Yeah, you are the reason we are not allowed to have nice things. Remember that. Remember that.
Tells me all the time.
Guys, thank you very much for watching. This was episode 3 of Full Red. I am your host, Sundown. We'll see you again sometime next week. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. Follow us on Twitter. All the information is below. See ya.